back. This is going to be back-to-back YouTube videos on my Sex Game channel. And again, I want to say thank you to the 4 or 5 subscribers that subscribe to my primary YouTube channel. Yes, I am running out of space in the next 2 to 3 months. But until that time, I want to say thank you. In the near future, I will make a YouTube video called Thank You to All My Subscribers. Because I have made a lot of thank you videos. And the one thank you video I have not made yet is to all my subscribers. And before this year is over, I will make that YouTube video. I promise you it will get made where I will say thank you to all the men and women who viewed my videos, gave me comments, subscribed. You will be getting a big, big thank you. Alright, this one is for the women. Men are welcome to watch this video, but understand this video is for the women because I don't want the women to be like, oh, you made one for men, what about us? Because I do have women that watch this YouTube channel very actively, and the women do want something that's talking about women in a positive light, okay? This is not to disrespect women. This is not to degrade women. This is to portray them in a good light. Women have been a big part of television and film, and you got to show some respect and some credit. Now, there have been talks on the internet that no woman has ever been in any female or action-packed led movies. That's not true, because John Caprio on YouTube has defended that a total of 10 times, and I have too. And I've got the list to prove that some of the best female-led female movies and television shows are critical success. Now, I know there are some films that have flopped and failed at the box office. I know there were some television shows that were led by female actresses and the shows were canceled, but we're talking about ones that actually garner critical success and were big name franchises. And when I say these names, you will know that these films were led by female actresses with female-led characters, and when men saw these movies in television and film, they were taken very serious with great respect. This title of the video is going to be called Sex Game, the top 12 sexiest women who kick ass in television and films. The reason why I came up with that title is because I like to make my videos very creative, very unpredictable, and sometimes you have to be outside the box. You know, you can't always copy or be so obvious. That's always been my style. Always think outside the box and be very creative. Now, coming in at number 12 is Kill Bill. Now, Kill Bill was written, produced, and directed by who else? Quentin Tarantino. Now, this movie had a female-led character named Uma Duma. I apologize if I mess up the actress name, but she is like 6 feet tall, and you've seen her in movies before. Pulp Fiction, Batman and Robin. She did a movie with Ben Affleck. And this movie was her breakout debut as an action star. And to me, when she did this movie, she put out some strong implications that she could have been in a Matrix movie. She could have became Wonder Woman. Like, she actually proved everybody wrong. They said a woman in her 30s couldn't get in athletic shape and kick ass like that, and she did the intense training. She did strength training, she did martial arts training, she did sword fighting, then she had to get trained to do a motorcycle. All of that for the first film. And then to have the fighting montages be like they're in Japan, and the fact that she wear Bruce Lee's legendary yellow jumpsuit from Game of Death was to show true respect. Like, you could imagine if they did a reboot, she could possibly be in that movie. The first movie to me is always the best film. Like, this movie is on the same level as The Matrix. This movie is up there. The second one, you can argue, is probably better than the first film, but the first film was good because it was original, it was a new concept, and no one didn't think this movie was going to hit big. It hit big. And the second one was good because it picked up where the first story left off. And the fact that they got legendary martial artists from the movies of the 70s and the 80s into this time period was great. For her to be in the second movie and learn from an ancient martial artist that done all those great kung fu films was great. So it had a lot of realism in this movie. And it showed that if you push someone, that they will actually fight back no matter what. And she was good in this movie. And people actually responded because it created a new culture of martial art movies for men and women. Like, never before, men would never go to the movie theater and would never want to watch a woman do martial arts until they did Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. They did 2 movies and shot them back to back. And it would spawn off into something else that would later come in that time frame. So her movies will always be known for as she became a trans center because you saw her differently after those movies. Where you say, yeah, she could play somebody like Trinity if they had cast her. She could play somebody like Wonder Woman, or if they asked her. She could have played those types of characters. Coming in at number 11 is Resident Evil. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys hate the Resident Evil movies, but what you can't deny is that Mova Jovovich was great in that first film. I mean, to come in, lose your memory, and then to kick ass, take names, become the hero of the story, and then it set up Resident Evil 2. You know, she was fantastic in there fighting Nemesis. Then Resident Evil 3, they gave her powers, and then to see her in Resident Evil 4. To me, I think Resident Evil 4 is where she actually earned the respect of a true martial artist. Because in the first movie, she was just learning how to get good at fighting. She had to do a lot of choreography. She had to do a lot of stunts. And it wasn't until the second and third films that she got good. But the fourth film is where she really proved that she was legit. Because she would fight through an injury. Most people don't fight through injuries. She fought through her injuries. And she earned a respect. And again, even though the movies weren't that good, her performance was good. She got in shape. She learned the training. You know, and eventually got really good. Now, they're going to reboot. And I'm pretty sure they're going to make references to the original trilogy. But you can't deny the fact that she did take the movie role serious. The acting, you know, her training, the way she would fight on screen, and of course the rock songs. You know, that was probably the best part of those movies was those rock songs. And every time she fought, a song would come on that would commemorate her showing you that she can tough it out. And she didn't go over the top like most actresses. She kept herself grounded in that character, and she did her research, which tells you she did do her job when it came to that. Coming in at number 10 is Underworld. Now, I do love me some Kate Beckinsale. I mean, this girl can really throw down. I mean, this girl transformed her body to look like Selena the Vampire. Like, she really looked it good in that first film. I mean, of course, I like her in that tight black leather, but nobody wanted to go see the movie until they found out she was playing it. She was a strong female lead. Like, that first Underworld movie, I watched that movie like 10 times because it was that good. It was very well written, very well produced, very well directed, and she did it all in that movie. She did her own dangerous stunts. She also got injured several times. She did martial arts training, and she was good with the sword fights. And the fact that she was willing to do that type of film was incredible. It was like, you could imagine if she was in an X-Men film, she would fit right in with Hugh Jackman. You know, she turned around and did Van Helsing, and everyone was accepting it. And then, of course, she came back with Underworld 2. We saw her in the end credits of Underworld 3, and then she popped up in Underworld 4 and 5. And in all those movies, in her 30s and her 40s, she stayed in shape, and she still was able to get in the character. Most actresses, when they get in their 30s and their 40s, they don't want to play the character. She played the character, and it's like no matter how many years went by, she was willing to transform into the character. And when you see the character, you see Selena. You don't see Kate Beckinsale, you see the character. So you know she takes the movie serious, she takes her career serious, and she doesn't play around. And the martial arts that you're seeing her display in the movie, it's real. It's not fake, it's real. And to me, she led her own franchise. Now, the first movie is good. The second film is better than the first one. Not too many people like the third Underworld because they started to go into a different direction. A lot of people didn't really like the fourth Underworld movie because, again, they went into a different direction. But when they went to Underworld 5, they kind of took you back to what you like about Underworld 1 and 2. So she got to lead her own movie franchise and to do that many films, which normally after 2 or 3 movies, they move on to something else. But Kate Beckinsale go, no matter what happens, I'm going to stick with this one character. So in a way, you could imagine her as Black Widow. You could imagine her as Catwoman. You can imagine her as Elektra because of these movies. If Marvel said we want you to play Elektra, she could have done it because she had done a movie that showed you she's willing to do that type of training. Coming in at number 9 is Battle Angel. I love me some Battle Angel. Every time that movie come on, I watch it. That Asian chick is fine. Now, to me, Battle Angel is one of those futuristic movies that is so good. It was very well produced, very well written, very well directed, and I like the compelling story that she's half human, half cybernetic, and you see the humanity in this character. The actress looked just like the girl from the anime. She was the same size, same shape. She had the acting down packed. Her timing was perfect. She didn't worry about the cameras. And her fighting scenes were so superb because she knew when to do the fighting styles of that character. And the fact that she didn't focus so much on anything that was what people were saying was incredible. Like she tuned it out and she transformed into the character. And the fact that when you see her on the big screen, you're amazed that she was able to put herself through that much training and then tough it out. And then the fact that she had no problem doing fighting scenes was incredible. Now they did have a stunt double, but again, you can't take away the fact that her performance in that movie was so strong that it got number 1 at the box office, and people are expecting to see a Battle Angel Part 2 or Part 3, if not a sequels. Then give us a Battle Angel television series because people love this movie. People want to see this movie succeed. And a lot of people were hating on this movie when it first came out because they didn't think this movie was going to be all that good. And this movie was good, and that's where you're going to say, I want to see a movie like Mulan. I know some people have their strongest criticisms of Mulan, but you did the same thing with Battle Angel, and Battle Angel was that movie that proved all critics wrong, and I think Mulan might do the same thing like Battle Angel, just on a bigger scale. Alright, coming in at number 8 is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You can't do a television show of female-led characters without mentioning Buffy Summers, the Slayer. This television show was written, produced, and directed by who else? Joss Whedon, and this show did run for 7 seasons. You got all your traditional classical characters in this television show. You know, you got Buffy Summers, you had Angel, you had Spike, you had Sanders, you had Willow, you had Fate, you had Dawn, Giles, a lot of characters in this show. And the fact that you could take a story of a girl who's in high school or in college and she fights vampires and werewolves is badass. And to me, this television show set the run for if you're going to create a female character lead, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the blueprints that you would follow. Because this show came somewhere around the same time as another show that also set the blueprints if you're going to do a female-led character. And this show was just kicking ass in television ratings. This show was competing with the NBA, the NFL. Most female-led television shows do not ever get to be on the same level as the NBA, the NFL. This show was competing with Power Rangers. And to do that is very significant because this show was right there with the Power Rangers. This show was right there with shows like Saturday Night Live. The ratings it was getting was just insane. It was getting 8.1, 8.2, 8.4, 9.1. I mean, it was getting some strong ratings. And Michelle Gellar transformed into the Slayer, Buffy Summers, and this show was on fire. Most shows, after 4 or 5 seasons, they fizzle out. This show got 7 seasons. And it was supposed to get a season 8, but at that point, she decided she thought that was enough for the show, and it was acceptable, and it spun off its successor, it spun off Angel. So if you really think about it, if it weren't for Buffy the television series, you would have never got an Angel television series. That's how strong this show's critical reception is. You know, and this show did better on TV than it did when they made Buffy the movie in 1992, but you could see that they were able to learn from that mistake. And if it weren't for Buffy, some of the shows that we have today would have not been here. Coming in at number 7 is WandaVision. To me, WandaVision is a nice way of saying it is like another version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You look at Buffy, you look at Angel, now you look at Scarlet Witch, and you look at Vision. That's pretty much Buffy all over again. Two girls with super badass powers, girls that are in love with one guy, and both women will kick your ass and will move heaven and earth for that guy that they're in love with. You look at Buffy, you look at Scarlet Witch. That's literally like the same character, literally. Both girls are, have to deal with personal challenges. Like when Angel was gone, you saw how distraught and emotionally hurt Buffy Summers was. You look at Wanda, she's emotionally hurt and distraught because there's no Vision. Buffy did all the stuff she could to get Angel back. Look what Scarlet Witch is doing. Anything she can to do what? Bring Vision back. It's like the same television show. Now, WandaVision is going to be a critical success hit, and it's going to pretty much dominate Disney Plus. I mean, okay, yes, there's the Loki television show, but I guarantee you people are going to watch this a little bit more because it's going to tie into Doctor Strange 2. And for her to be in the movies and then get her own television show is interesting because no other Marvel character besides her gets to have their own television show. Yes, there's Falcon and Winter Soldier, there's Loki, but she's the first female character to be in the movies to get her own show, so that's even a bigger significance to the other characters in Marvel. So that one I can't wait for. Coming in at number 6 in the tie is Wonder Woman and Xena. Think about it. There was Wonder Woman, right? Xena is like the closest interpretation to a strong, powerful, female-led character. Xena was another television show, primetime television show that was kicking ass, taking names, and dominating the television array. After like 4 years later, Xena surpassed the Hercules television show. Like in the beginning, it was always Hercules taking over. And then 4 seasons later, Xena took over the Hercules television show. Xena's show started to beat out Hercules. Xena was able to compete with Power Rangers, Buffy, because it was on the same television lineup. And again, this show was getting some strong numbers because people were actually watching Xena. The fact that you could take a story of a princess who was once bad of a barbarian tribe and then she reformed herself and then decided to fight for man because men couldn't fight for himself in that show, and then to be a strong character that make people like Ares, the god of war, become intimidated by a human woman, and then for him to be a hypocrite and fall in love with a woman, nobody had ever done that in television. This show got 6 to 7 seasons. It even got a television movie. And if they wanted to, they could have made Xena get an 8th season. Like, Xena was the closest interpretation to Wonder Woman. Everything Wonder Woman was doing, Xena was able to do that. And people looked at Xena as if that was the Wonder Woman television show. Because for years and years, they didn't know if they could make a Wonder Woman movie or television show. Xena was perfect because it had that same story. She's an Amazon. She's a warrior. She's a princess. You look at Diana. What is Diana? A princess. What is Diana? A warrior. What is Diana? Prince. A Amazon. So you're looking at pretty much the same character. The difference is Wonder Woman is the daughter of Zeus. And Xena's just human who was once a barbarian princess who turned to the side of good. Both characters fight for humanity. Both characters kick ass and take names. Wonder Woman was a critical success. Made billions of dollars. And Gal Gadot proved everybody wrong that she could play the newest iteration of that character. And her sequel, Wonder Woman 1984, is going to be just as good or better than the original film. And again, you're going to see her take on strong characters and look good. And they did that with Xena. Every season, Xena would fight a character that can challenge her. So you look at the similarities between Xena and Wonder Woman, and you see there is a resemblance in these characters. Alright, coming in at number 5 is Terminator 2. Judgment Day. Now, everybody has their favorite moment in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And I don't think this matters if you're a man or a woman, young or old, or black or white. The one thing you can't deny in the sequel of Terminator 2 is Limo Hamilton's badass portrayal as Sarah Connor. When she got into athletic shape and she got ripped, I thought it was another actress. Like, she was in the 80s and the 90s, and she kind of is one of those legends and icons that set the run, okay? If it weren't for women like Sigourney Weaver, if it weren't for women like Jamie Lee Curtis, if it weren't for Lynn Hamilton, those three legends, those three icons were in big name franchises, and they were the main character, the lead character of those franchises. You look at the first Terminator film. It's not a main character as a man, it's a woman. And she did what no man could do in the first Terminator film. She defeated the Terminator. Terminator 2 showed that she could fight another character and be portrayed as a strong character. She could hold her own against Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that showed that why people love those Terminator films. When they first saw the Terminator film, I don't remember nobody back then whining and complaining that the main character was a woman. Same thing with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I don't remember no one whining and complaining that the main character was a woman. I didn't have no problem with it because she was kicking ass. She was ripped. She was tough. I was like, oh shit, Liv Hamilton getting down with her bad self. I mean, okay, yeah, you can say Terminator Dark Fate was a terrible film. It is. It's a terrible film. But Terminator 2, she was in the prime of her career, and basically she was pretty the reason why you went to go see the first and second film besides Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you do have to admit and give her that much respect and credit. All right, coming in at number 4 is Aliens. Sigourney Weaver. She is a legend. She is an icon. She is the reason why the first movie Alien was good, and then James Cameron came back and did Aliens with an S, and then Aliens 2. Those are two films that were filmed and shot back to back. And then he did one year, and then another 3 or 4 years later, he dropped Aliens 2. Now, we do know Aliens 3 suck. That I'm going to admit that. It did suck. Aliens 4 Resurrection was kind of... It wasn't as bad as Aliens 3, but it still overall was not a very good film. And to me, Ripley was a strong female-led character. Because, like Terminator 1... like Sarah Connor, Ripley was able to do what the Commandos could not do. And that's whoop an alien's ass. See, this is a time period where no one's whining and complaining about women being strong, female-led characters. You would have to say that the renaissance of women getting their respect was in the 80s and the 1990s. Because Sigourney Weaver was a part of a big-name franchise. It was Aliens. Nobody complained about science fiction at that time. Jamie Lee Curtis was a part of Halloween. Rip Hamilton was leading Terminator. So those three women are legends. They're icons. If it weren't for those three women, you probably would have never got a Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You probably would have never got a Wonder Woman movie. You would have probably never got a Black Widow movie because these three women at that time could have played those characters if they were asked. Because you got a character who transcended filmmaking history. So now when people say, do we have any female-led characters, all you got to do is say Sigourney Weaver was Ridley, Sarah Connor was in Terminator, and Jamie Lee Curtis was in Halloween. Those three women kind of opened the doors for future generations of women to become actresses and be taken serious. Not just, oh, because she's cute and she's nice and she's eye candy, but yeah, you can do movies just like men can. Where in today's time period, it's a little different. Coming in at number 3 is Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Yes, I like Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider films. I mean, come on. She kind of came in at a point in history where they had no female actresses doing these characters, and she got to do a video game. Like, you could just imagine what would happen if Sarah Connor was a little younger and she played Tomb Raider. You could just imagine, and Tomb Raider was kind of like a franchise that Angelina Jolie led. Did 2 films, should have did 3 Tomb Raider movies, but it launched her career. That very first Tomb Raider film is box office gold. Now, the second film's not as good as the first Tomb Raider, but she did 2 films, and it later kicked her off in a bunch of action films. Gone in 60 Seconds, Sky Captain of Tomorrow, she led those movies. And she was good in those movies. Wanted, Salt. Those are all action-packed movies with Angelina Jolie in it, kicking ass and taking names. But it all started with a movie called Tomb Raider. And you can't include that without putting this on the list. Coming in at number 2 on my list is Mulan. Now, I know Mulan gets some strong negative criticism as of lately. A lot of people do not like the fact that this movie's on Disney Plus. I know people are complaining that they keep postponing the dates. There ain't nothing we can do about that. Just be happy that the movie's coming on Disney Plus because it is gonna be a kick-ass movie. And Mulan shows a lot of similarities between Battle Angel. Both movies were negative, criticized. Both movies are going to blow everyone's expectations away. Both movies had to get refilmed, reshot, redistributed, repackaged, and in Mulan is going to have a bigger audience than Battle Angel. Okay, that's the only difference between Battle Angel and Mulan is that Battle Angel had a small audience. Why Mulan is getting a big audience. And the idea that you can get a woman to dress up as a samurai and fight for the dynasty of that emperor is very surreal. And it is a love story. It is samurais and a love story, but this movie is like, what if you did The Last Samurai and the main character just turned out to be a woman? So it's The Last Samurai with a woman, but here's the difference between Last Samurai and Mulan. Last Samurai was a guy who was always in a situation where he was always the hero. This is a situation where a woman wants to prove that she can be in a world of men and that she could be the hero. So that's the difference between Last Samurai and Mulan, and why Mulan and Battle Angel have similarities. Both got negative criticisms, but both movies are going to do big at the box office and they're going to prove a lot of people wrong. I can't wait to see this movie, whether it's on Disney Plus, whether it gets put in the movie theater or later on, 6 months or a year down the road, it gets on DVD. I am going to watch the movie. So that's why it's at number 2, because it is a movie that if it's so successful, and you know it will greenlight a sequel or sequels, as in 2 films or 3 films. You can even turn it into a television series. There's a lot of growth and potential for the character of Mulan. So I watched the cartoon when I was a kid, and the cartoon got sequels. So I expect the movie to be just like the first film. Now we're going to get to the number 1 badass female action-oriented movie of all times that we're going to break our necks to go see again and again and again and again. And that is Natasha Romanoff, better known as Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson, my girl, my all-time favorite Hollywood crush. Now, for her to get her own movie, I'm very happy for her, not just as a woman, not just as an actress, but as a transcender. Because she kind of was already this character before Marvel picked the phone up and said, hey, you want to play Natasha Romanoff? She was already playing that type of character if you look in some of her other earlier movies. Like, it was like 10 or 12 years before she got to appear in Iron Man 2, Captain America Winter Soldier, the Avenger films. And for her to get her own action-led film, it's about time. Like, for almost 10 years, you had to sit back and wait and say, Marvel, give us a Black Widow movie. Give us a Black Widow movie. And they finally done it. And the fact that this movie has a lot of potential to get a sequel, I think you could do 3 Black Widow films. I think you can do 3 movies of Black Widow. I think you could turn around and make a Black Widow television show. And to me, this movie right here is a nice way of saying that the passing of the torch has been passed. Because Scarlett Johansson is one of those actresses that when you talk about female-led superhero movies, the name and the title is going to come up periodically. This movie can compete with Wonder Woman, okay? This movie can compete with big blockbuster films because it is a blockbuster film. Now, it don't matter if it's on Disney Plus or at the movie theater. This movie, hands down, is going to get number 1 at the box office. Now, will it break billions of dollars? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But these are my picks. These are the movies that I picked myself that took me 4 months to put together. That's why it took a long time to do this video of women who kick ass in television and film. This is portraying women in a positive light, okay? So this should be a very well-received video. I know women will love the video. I know men will like the video, but just understand, I made the video for women to show women in a positive aspect. So these are back-to-back videos. They're probably going to be uploaded onto my YouTube channel maybe 3 or 4 hours later. So you might say, why'd you film it early in the morning, but you wait 4 or 5 hours later? Because I have chores I have to do. I have to finish my workout. I have to take a shower and I have to turn around and go do some errands for someone else. And I'm not going to upload those videos while I'm doing the errands because the cell phone can get hot and turn off on me, and I don't want to do that. Until next time, peace.